Welcome back to the Awareness Angle interviews. I sat down with Dan from Goldphish for a proper chat about what good security awareness looks like. Nothing complicated, nothing corporate, just two people who care about helping users stay safe, talking honestly about what works, what doesn't, and why keeping things simple is usually the smartest thing you can do. Dan has a raw and straightforward style that I really respect. We got into storytelling, culture, fun, and the small changes that actually shape behaviour. It was relaxed, honest, and a lot of fun to record. Give it a listen and let me know what it gets you thinking about. Here is my chat with Dan Thornton from Goldphish. Right, today I have with me Dan Thornton. Dan, how you doing?
Yeah, good, and thanks very much for having me.
Dan, you work for Goldphish. The name is amazing. That was such a catch to get Goldfish with a PH. I just it's one of those. It's like how long have you had the domain name?
We actually scooped the domain name in 2017 when we first
Wow,
first came up with the idea, and it cost. I think we bought it for like $1,000.
wow,
Yeah, yeah. We got the .com locked in early.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. So you're CEO and founder of Goldfish?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Created,
yeah,
built the company 2017, or launched it 2017, and went to market 2018. Yeah.
amazing, amazing. So I first found you, I think LinkedIn, it was LinkedIn, someone had liked a post that you'd written, and you're one of these people now that comes up on my LinkedIn with pearls of wisdom. Your posts are always something that I think like resonates quite well with me. I think we're quite like-minded in that. And on the podcast months and months ago, I remember we discussed one of your um, LinkedIn posts because it just really resonated. So from then, it was like, I need to get Dan on the podcast. We need to have a chat. And me and you actually, up before today, we haven't spoken before. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not like we're old
Exactly.
buddies or anything. Although, like, we've just been, before I hit record, we've just been chatting and it was like, we should probably press record because we're getting somewhere now. So, Goldphish, take me back to the beginning. Why did you start Goldphish? What was that moment where you were like, I need to start Goldphish?
So a bit of
How did you get there?
backstory. I spent quite a bit of time in the UK. I was actually in the Royal Marine Commandos for quite some time. Coming out of the forces, I went into security risk management in some of the spicier parts of the world, working for multinationals, looking after their physical security.
Right.
So I think it was back in 2017. I was working for an oil company in the Middle East, and they got smacked by the NotPetya attack, and their operations, their systems, their computers, everything was down and out for 5 days. And I was head of crisis management for the company at the time. And the realization that, I'd been so focused on all things physical and crisis, and, you know, looking at sort of country evacuations, looking at kidnap and ransoms, looking at armed security teams moving around the world, and now there's this bloody computer attack that brings a multinational billion-dollar organization to its
To
knees
its
for
knees.
five
Yeah.
whole days. It was unbelievable. It was my first sort of insight into how vulnerable organizations can really be. And
Yeah.
it was that, yeah, I mean, it was that aha moment for me that it's like, this is where I need to go into, and this is where we need to get involved, and this is the future of risk management for organizations. And we looked at it, and spoke with a buddy of mine, and we're like, we want to get into cybersecurity, but I'm about as technically minded as this pencil. So we thought, well, what skills could we bring to bear in an industry like that? And I mean, I'd spent my whole career training, and in the private security space, running training and risk training and security training and travel risk training for
Mm.
humans and employees, and keeping people safe in different parts of the world. And so that was something that I would be able to bring in. And we'd also, working for some of these big corporates, had been exposed to information security training and cybersecurity training, and the quality of it was just dog shit. And scratch your eyes out, find a window to jump out of, like horrendous experiences. And we're like, well, we can do better than that. And that was where Goldfish started.
This is why we align, I think, because I haven't jumped over to the vendor side. I've been on the delivering side in cyber for like 12, 13 years now. And I've seen plenty of dog shit training, like you say. So it's quite, yeah, it's, I think that's amazing. And it's funny, there's there's a lot of ex-military people that end up working in cyber. And I think it's exactly like you say, there's a passion there. There's obviously a deep intrinsic need to keep people safe and secure, and also communicate that in ways like negotiation, communication.
Yeah.
That's all skills that you would have picked up, just immersed during your time spent in the forces, I imagine. Yeah. So that's how Goldfish started. So Goldfish, exactly. We won't get into a sales pitch right now, but Goldfish, high level, who are you? What do you offer? Fishing,
We have
obviously.
we have some phishing, some training. No, we've built a security awareness training platform for
Mm,
businesses to use to raise awareness and educate their teams, their employees, about cyber threats and
yeah.
all the different sort of online threats. We have a full content library of videos and e-learning experiences and different training experiences where businesses can use Goldfish to try and reduce their human risk. We've got quizzes, we've got phishing simulations, we've got training programs, the whole piece in one platform that that
Mm.
businesses can use.
Do you know, it's quite funny because I remember first going to like one of the InfoSec Europe, which is one of the big conferences in London. I remember going to one like 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago, and seeing all the phishing platforms, FishMe,
Mm.
which is now Cofence, and
Yeah,
Wombat,
yeah, yeah,
which I think
yeah.
got bought by Proofpoint or
Proof
some
point. Yeah,
Proofpoint. Yeah. So all of these phishing platforms, I remember being there, and then loads of them got bought up there was the big phishing purchase where loads of them got bought. And then everyone's moved over to human risk now and stuff like that. But the one thing that's really obvious is that phishing is still there. Phishing as a method hasn't gone away. And I've spoken on the podcast before, comparing it to like con men from like, the old sleight of hand and stuff. It's just a more modern way of doing that. Um, have you seen anything that has changed in the last few years as far as phishing's concerned?
well, for sure. And I mean, I think it's more targeted than ever. It's
Yeah.
definitely more convincing, and it's faster than ever. So
Yeah.
in the early days, the red flags you look out for is bad spelling, bad grammar, because some ruffian hacker is now trying to convince you to click on a link or open an attachment or whatever. But
Yeah.
AI now is being used by the bad actors. We know that it's being used by bloody everyone, and so it's thrown gasoline on the fire now with this. And scammers can write better emails than most bloody marketing teams.
Mm,
In fact, there's marketing tools out there now that marketing teams are using to scrape the internet, scrape the social media, and build some of the most convincing, engaging, high conversion rate marketing emails that we've ever seen. And
mm,
they can customize it and target it en masse to
yeah.
thousands of targets at the same time, every single email being customized based on what somebody has posted on LinkedIn or what somebody does in their company. And that can be done 10,000 times. And so
Yeah.
if legit marketing teams have access to these tools that can do that. Imagine what the bad actors have got access to. And so that's something that has definitely changed, because we always used to teach that, phishing is a big net. It's super generic. You can spot these emails off. It's you know, to whom it may concern. It's,
Yeah.
dear so and so, but there was no customization, there was no personalization. So it was really easy and low risk. And there would be the odd case of highly customized spear phishing emails where they were very convincing, but it would take a huge amount of work and research and human resource on the the bad actor side to put these spear phishing emails together, and they were highly targeted to very specific people or companies. But now AI is enabling that en masse to everyone. And so you
Mm.
don't have to be a special cookie anymore to receive a highly customized spear phishing email. And the the level of convincing now is way more than we've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I almost find myself now wanting to put a spelling mistake in a LinkedIn post or an email just so they know it's been written by a human. Like it's almost gone the other way now.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
I do write my own posts. They aren't written by AI. Here's proof. Look, I spelt that wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, one thing I think is quite interesting. You're based in South Africa. Um, I'm in the UK. Do you do you think that there's different approaches depending on where they are in the world? And I get that, like, I'm not talking about we don't have FedEx here in this country, so you don't use FedEx or that kind of thing. You know, I'm not talking about that. But do you think that there's different locations and different regions get targeted in different ways?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you've spoken about there's maybe particular brands that you can use. There's the different tax organizations in different parts of the world, but that's a very obvious one. I mean, scammers,
Mm,
they're essentially marketers. They localize their product, they'll localize their attack, and so
yeah.
it could be local brands, it could be local currencies, there could be language quirks that they can use. I mean, even different holidays throughout the year, all of the different
Mm,
holidays that the US has, all of those, there's big scams built around all those different holidays.
yeah.
And those holidays can change in different public holidays. So they're definitely putting together the narratives based on a part of the world that they're targeting.
Yeah.
And with AI, that becomes much easier because you can
Yeah.
split it out and you can customize it depending on where you are. So I think they definitely change their style depending on country.
I assume you have, I mean, you have customers in South Africa. I assume you have customers all over the world right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So do you think the attitudes towards fishing in different parts of the world are different? I know that there's some organizations out there, for example, that an organization I could never work for. It's like if someone falls for simulated fishing, that's seen as a bad thing, and then they'll be reprimanded. And if you fall for X amount of simulated fishes, you're out. Do you think attitudes towards fishing and defense change? Not just the attacks, but the attitudes of us defending change depending where you are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does. And we've had conversations with customers and with partners delivering security awareness programs, that we've experienced this all over. And
Mm,
it might be, I don't know if it's maybe a geography thing or it's a size of organization
mm,
piece. Maybe the more corporate, the more your bigger sort of more corporate organizations are very structured, and this is, it's something that needs to be implemented and needs to be enforced, and we're going to come with a big stick. Whereas maybe your smaller, more flexible, more agile organizations maybe get it a little bit better. But then I think it also comes down to the culture of the team implementing this. your
Mm.
security awareness professionals, whether that's being implemented by MSPs, whether it's being implemented by an in-house awareness team, whether it's being implemented by an in-house corporate training team. It all comes down to who's implementing it as well to really drive that culture. But as you say, I mean, it definitely there's still definitely a lot of organizations out there trying to enforce and drive home culture with sticks rather than carrots.
I have the conversation quite often at the moment, it seems, about organizations. And it's a question I ask in the team I'm in. Like, are we compliance driven, or do we actually want to change behaviors? Because if we're compliance driven, minimum viable product, get it done, tick the box, move on to the next thing. Whereas if you want to actually change behaviors, that's a whole different effort. It's a whole different journey almost, isn't
Yeah,
it? If you actually want to make people behave differently.
it is. The the
I mean,
analogy that I make, well, the comparison that I make a lot of the time with organizations talking about security awareness and trying to build secure culture, and that is, it's we are now in 2025 talking about building corporate security cultures where, at the start of the 90s we were talking about building health and safety cultures and corporate safety culture,
yeah,
and you know we're all super frustrated and banging our heads against the wall that nobody's getting this and nobody's changing, and we're not building secure culture and nobody's paying attention to it or taking it seriously, and how do we change things? But the safety guys, the health and safety, they've been banging their heads against the wall for the last 25 years, and they're only just getting it right now. And
yeah.
it's a really, really tough thing to do when, and they've struggled with it.
Mm,
They've pulled out all the stops, and that's a specialization that us security guys should be paying a little bit more attention to and seeing how they're doing things, because it's you can have all the best technology for deploying training and phishing simulations, and you can have all the best content out there, but it's the soft skills that really make the difference when it comes to this. It's the communication skills.
mm,
It's how we sell it to the employees, how we sell it to the individuals, how we make them care. It's almost taking like a marketing approach to it, really
yeah.
finding out what's going to change their ideas, and it's understanding that, and it's getting feedback from that, and it's pivoting on that, and it's doing different tests exactly like marketers would to figure out what is going to get across, because every single organization in every different part of the world is going to adopt this differently and take it seriously in a different way. Um, and yeah, it's always going to be a tough one to get across. And simply ticking a box by running a training campaign, or simply ticking a box by running a phishing campaign, is not going to do it. It's not going to do
No,
it.
that doesn't make you secure. Ah, yes, they've done their annual training and they haven't fallen for a phishing email. We are now
Yeah,
secure. That's job
yeah,
done. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. What do you see? What do you see as the biggest challenges with awareness right now? Is it, for example, executives might be compliance driven rather than actually driven towards change? Is there anything that comes front of mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a problem. Most awareness programs are checkbox exercises. Did we run a campaign? Yes. Fucking cool. Well done. We've ticked that box. Let's get back to work. And while one side of me believes, there's so much more that's needed to actually reduce the risk. If that's what you want to do, if you really want to reduce who are doing training in order to do that, it needs to be taken more seriously. It needs to be really looked at as a whole program, with communication, with testing, with phishing, with training campaigns. Yes, we know that. But on the flip side, I could argue at least they're doing something.
Hmm.
You know, it's yes, it's checkbox, but at least they're doing something and not just putting their head in the sand completely. At least, because there are a ton of organizations out there that are like, we don't have the time for training, we're too busy, we don't have the budget, we've got all the bells and whistles, we spend lots of so we don't, we don't need to do anything more. So I'm glad that there are regulations. I'm glad that there are insurance companies pushing for this, that
Mm.
there is some push for compliance purposes. So companies are starting to do it. And that checkbox hopefully will start getting companies to wake up to it a little bit more, because a lot of companies don't know what they don't know. And maybe
Yeah.
it takes the executive team to do a little bit of compliance training to realize, oh shit, we actually need to do more of this. Or wow, I didn't know that. Let's take this a little bit more seriously. Let's invest a little bit more. Let's get some more training going. So is there a big compliance drive? Yeah, there is. Um, is it good for the industry? Well, it's something. It's getting people started, and hopefully that will trigger more. And then I'd say, and to your question, challenges. I'd say maybe the other challenge that I've come across that we need to fix is shame.
Mm.
We've built a culture where people are scared to admit mistakes. Like you've spoken about, there are large
Amazing.
organizations out there that will penalize you, that you will put you on notice, where you will get fired. And if that's the culture, people are very scared to admit that they've made a mistake, and they'll try and
Yeah.
hide it, or they won't report it. And that's a security risk in itself. And so that comes with culture. It comes with security culture. It's part of the bigger package.
We've got, I've got these stickers that we got made for the podcast that say click happens.
Yeah,
And the reason we got
that's
them
cool.
made is because like click happens, right? Like shit happens. So, but it's making people realize that it's okay that they've done that. And it's what they do after that's important.
Yeah.
It's do report it quickly to the right people so we can, if there is any rot infection, we can stop it. And that's where, your duty isn't just to not click. It's that when you do click, because that's probably inevitable at some point, that you handle it properly. And that's
Yeah.
that's what's important, isn't it? And in a shame-based organization, you're not going to get that. People are going to try and hide it, brush it under the carpet, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
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 Um, do you think attitudes have definitely changed? Like if you go back to like when you started Goldfish in 2017 to where we are now, like 8 years later, attitudes have changed. The cyber landscape has changed significantly. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely become more advanced. The attackers are definitely constantly pivoting. They're constantly changing and coming up with new ways to get through, and new convincing ways to get us to part with our money. Um, back then it was phishing. It was super
Mm.
generic phishing, like we chatted about. And to train people about phishing was, don't click suspicious links. That was it. But now we've got deep fakes. Where the hell did that come from? We've got QR
Yeah.
scams, we've got invoice fraud, we've got business email compromise, we've got a whole array of social engineering attacks that, awareness training has improved. But
Yeah.
if there are still so many ways that businesses can get attacked, and unfortunately, many businesses are, not training. They're not preparing their teams for the social engineering attacks we're seeing today.
I think if you just go back, you don't even need to go back that far. Like here in the UK, if you just go back to like February, social engineering, as far as voice was concerned,
Mm,
wasn't a priority. We saw phishing with the emergence of AI like 2-3 years ago. It was amazing what you could do with voices, and deep fakes became hot topic. But then in March this year, Marks and Spencer's, big retailer in the
yeah.
UK, was socially engineered via voice, to give away, and the keys to the kingdom were gone, as were another supermarket in the same vertical, Co-op. And all of a sudden, everyone's focus has been on social engineering by voice. But that's one of the least, and this is probably human voice. It's probably not even AI, right? And
Mm,
that's like, how do you defend against that? You can't
yeah.
put a voice filter in place, or, you
Yeah.
can't have a biometric voice scanner on a sneakers with Robert Redford. My voice is my passport, I think it was, or whatever. You can, but so that's a really, really old method, analog method almost, which is,
It's the most old school method. And I mean, before the
yeah,
internet, people were getting scammed over the phone. That's
yeah,
where that was it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what was the Coinbase attack that happened a little while ago?
yeah.
That was voice. That was over voice
And
as well.
MGM casinos last year before, I think, was
Yeah.
also the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And exactly as you say, like where's the technical defenses for that? you know, and then we've got, phishing by SMS, or by DMs in the social media.
mm,
We're seeing all the different sort of avenues of delivering social engineering attacks.
yeah.
And email, the mailbox is certainly one of the biggest targeted, but it's not the only one.
I had a founder at a different security company share with me a couple of weeks ago a letter that they'd received, and a physical through the post letter, and it was like,
Amazing.
wow, and it was a phishing, it was a traditional scam. It was like, I've got this money, work with me and we can share this money. It was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is like so analog, but they'll just try anything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
That's amazing.
same scam, just a different delivery method,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy. Um, where do you think this is going? Like, we've just talked about how the most analog and old school methods have been successful this year. What do you think we'll be talking about 5 or 10 years time?
I don't think phishing will die. I think it's going to be around. It'll just evolve. Maybe it'll become voice first.
Mm,
Maybe deep fake videos. This we've seen a few stories that have jumped into the media about deep fake videos,
mm,
but the game's the same. The game will stay the same. They will target the humans. Um, and we need to continually be raising awareness of these changes, and as they change, and as we get stories, as we're seeing examples, we need to continue raising awareness around them. I do think that the next big thing is going to be AI assisted fraud. So instead of just one email, click on this, open this, give over your password, I think these long form fraud attacks where you're socially engineering somebody over a long period of time and convincing somebody, establishing a relationship with people, whether that's an authority relationship or a love relationship or what that is. I think we're going to see more and more of that type long form fraud delivered purely by an AI bot,
mm.
that will build up a profile, build up a history, slowly pull it out, and I think we're going to see that over the next few years.
That's really interesting, actually, because a recent conference I was at, one of the keynote speech was on romance scams, what we used to call
Yeah,
pig butchering, but you're not meant to call them pig butchering anymore. And about how in some areas, I think it was Myanmar or somewhere, that this is now like a proper. There's hundreds of people in accommodation, essentially farmed to do this. Human
yeah,
beings forced to be there to make these calls. But actually, what you're saying is employing humans in any business, traditional business or cybercrime business, employing humans create problems. They need to be fed and watered and accommodated and paid and stuff like that. AI doesn't necessarily need feeding, watering, and paying in the same way, does it? So actually, it's
No,
easier to replicate AI. That's
I mean,
I
I,
hadn't
I
really
was
thought about that. Yeah.
yeah, and I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were giving examples of I think it was on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he was showing examples of the Grok um, the Grok chatbot with the female voice on it, and they
Mm.
were communicating with this, and it's like a super sexy um, voice from the chatbot, and
Yeah.
super provocative, super sexy. The way that they talk.
Wow.
I mean, that's just the start of it. Like that's where this is going for sure.
Mm. I mean, it's all the same, isn't it? It's all just attacking different vulnerabilities in people. Some people are vulnerable emotionally and seek that connection. Some people are vulnerable to, helping someone in need. Some people are vulnerable to because they're fear of authority. It's just tapping into another human vulnerability, isn't it? Essentially.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, is there? We've talked about pig butchering. We've talked about romance scams. Is there a buzzword or a phrase in cyber that you hate, that you wish would just go away? Not necessarily the scam itself, but the
Yeah.
name of it. Is there a buzzword that you're like, oh, I can't stand it when people say that?
Um, I mean, the term that a lot in the security industry like to use, that people are the weakest link. I'm sure you've heard this a million
Mm,
times. Everyone
yeah,
everyone uses it. I don't know. I mean, they're certainly not the
that's
strongest link, but
there's I no, I know there's so much backlash. I Any marketing team that now uses people are the weakest link,
yeah,
you should probably fire them, because anyone in our field, that's one of their top three. Like, I don't like it. It's wrong. So if you've got a marketing team that suggests
yeah.
your people are the weakest link, you probably want to fire
Yeah, I mean it's lazy. It's very old school. I mean,
them.
Jesus, they've been using that for 15 years. It's patronizing to
Yeah,
the people that you're trying to, you're trying to empower them now. We're trying to raise awareness. We're trying to educate. We're trying to get them to be part of the team, and we talk shit like that. It's wrong. Um, People are they're the primary they are the primary target. They're not the weakest link. They are the primary
no.
target for a lot of bad actors out there. So, we blame humans for getting tricked by attacks that are designed specifically to exploit their humanity and their vulnerabilities. And it's not a weakness. It's a design failure, really. And I think we could do a little bit better on the marketing front than using that phrase.
Mm. It's kind of like we all need seatbelts, don't we? Essentially, it's like a world before seatbelts. This is I haven't. This is something that I thought was quite interesting when we talk about phishing and training phishing. Um, I have a real bugbear, right? I think that Outlook, Gmail, with all the AI that's now exists, don't you think they could do more to protect us against phishing scams? Like, for me, 99.999% of the emails that land in inboxes that are malicious, there's probably a way you could stop them not landing there with AI. Do you think?
I mean, they're certainly they most certainly trying to prioritize that right now from an email security point. I mean, there's multi-million dollar email security companies trying to perfect that as we speak.
Yes.
But
It's funny that it's not Microsoft and it's not Google and it's not Yahoo, though, which I think is quite like with all the
yeah,
emergence of AI. Like, you get an email, we had one the other day and it was an Amazon scam, right? And the attachment was an image that contained an Amazon notice. and like a fake purchase notice, and the call to action was call this number, which would have been a scam call center or something.
Mm.
But you would have thought that AI could go, you haven't received an email from this before. It's not even AI, probably. It's just if this, then that. You haven't received an email from this before. OCR has identified this is an Amazon invoice. It's not come from Amazon.com, which is where they'll come from. Therefore, we're going to mark it as spam, or at least flag it as potentially malicious. But they don't,
Yeah.
which is why we exist. Partially.
Exactly. But then then you've got your business email compromise emails where there's no links, there's no attachments, there's a bit of context. And then, we're seeing a lot of emails coming in now from legit sources. Maybe there's email campaigns that have been created on like HubSpot and have been sent out using that. Using Google Forms to be able to submit stuff as well. And so they're getting smart, and as smart as we think we are, and the defenders are, the bad actors are getting smarter and smarter, and their use of AI is being used to counter the AI being used to find it. So it's a little mini arms race going on right now for who can get it right first.
I want to ask you, I did this thing recently at a conference I was at where I interviewed some people, and I've got 2 lists of questions. There's 3 lists of fun questions. Fun, it's questionable. I thought they were fun. And then there's 3 lists of serious questions. Now, not all will be relevant because you're not aware. You're not an awareness. You don't sit my side of a track. You're not an awareness professional delivering awareness. But I thought we'll play the game and we'll see where it goes. This is a new feature on the podcast, so it might not work. It's the first time I'm trying it. So
I've never been great at tests, but let's give it a
go. Okay. Give me 3 numbers between 1 and 20.
3, 9, and 15.
Love it. Okay. Question number 3. These are the fun ones. If passwords were food, what would your password taste like?
I don't know why pizza came straight to my head. There's no relevance there. I don't know. I'm just thinking about pizza right now. But yeah.
Someone I asked that to said cake. So you're not the only one. All right. I'll move on to the next one. What's your guilty pleasure app that you probably shouldn't trust? Is there an app on your phone that you have there? You're like, oh, I know it's secretly sending everything I've got to some dodgy data center, but I really want it.
Jesus, ChatGPT. The shit I've got on ChatGPT is. But no, let me think. What else have I got on there that? No, I'd probably say ChatGPT is probably my most high-risk app for sharing every possible thought going through my head.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, ChatGPT? Because if someone was able to compromise your ChatGPT and get access to all of your chat history, the profile they could build of you would be immensely valuable, wouldn't it? Really?
Big time. I mean, from a social engineering standpoint, from a target development point, it'd be unbelievable. I mean, I've taken myself off all forms of social media because I can't bloody stand it. But I'm still sticking around LinkedIn. But so yeah, I mean, you can't. There's nothing really to scrape and see. But geez, yeah, if you've got access to my ChatGPT, it would be a deep dive.
Yeah. The common answers I got to that one, well, the common answer was TikTok. That was like the number one. Someone actually said CapCut, which was a curveball, but obviously it's also owned by ByteDance, which is TikTok.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other one I got was DeepSeek. Someone who had DeepSeek, which is obviously another AI, but based, in a different geography to ChatGPT. So yeah, that's interesting. No, I think ChatGPT is a valid one. I'll let you have that. If you could make one cybercrime instantly impossible, just like that type of cybercrime is gone, what would it be?
Business email compromise. Small businesses getting scammed out of their money. It's I think so much of the technology can help businesses against, different types of viruses and malware. If you have the right backup plans, you can survive a ransomware attack. So, I mean, I'd say business email compromise is something that the security technology out there is not yet solving, and we're still seeing multiple stories every day, every week of businesses handing over huge amounts of money to fraudsters and not being able to see that again. And there is no defense against that because they are authorizing these payments. The banks don't want to hear anything about it. The insurers don't want to hear anything about it. I think if we could kill one cybercrime, I think that would be it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good question. Right. If you're, I'm just seeing if these are relevant to you. How would you handle security fatigue among employees? What if one of your customers came to you and went, my employees are really overloaded. I feel like we're talking to them too much. What advice would you give to an awareness professional to prevent that?
Keep it really short. Keep it really short, bite-size training. I think a lot of the fatigue happens when it's long training, it's exhaustive, you're going to sit and do a course, or it's a day's training. I think if we understand how people are consuming content in their day to day, TikTok being a perfect example.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Where's the training that reflects how people are consuming information? Because that's how so many people learn these days. They're learning new skills. They're learning different tricks and different hacks on the TikToks, on the YouTube, on bloody Instagram. So the training should reflect that. Instead of subjecting somebody to a half-day cybersecurity awareness course where we jam 100 different behaviors down their neck, why don't we just give them one behavior to think about this week or this month, and let them deal with that? Because your typical half day, sit in a classroom, listen to somebody go on about cybersecurity. By the end of it, you're like, fucking hell, my brain is melted. I have no idea where to start. This is super overwhelming. And this is actually way too much and too technical for me. Whereas if you take 2 minutes to explain to somebody how to set up MFA and why it's really important, and don't worry about anything else, just do MFA this week. Go set up MFA on all your important accounts. Like, that's how we progress. That's how we move forward. And that's achievable to people. There's no fatigue there. If you just do one thing at a time and it's bite-sized. We have a saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So
I love
that's
that.
how we should approach it.
That's I've not heard that before, but it's like it's so perfect for what we're all trying to do. And God, that rings true to challenges that I'm facing in my 9 to 5 at the moment. Like, one bite at a time is how you. I always said, like, it's like steering a cruise liner or a tanker. You can't just turn a corner. It takes time. But I prefer the elephant analogy. That's really good. I like that. What do you think the biggest barrier people face is? Do you have any, I don't know if you have any insight from customers or whatever, but the biggest barrier to improving security culture in a workplace?
Human resource.
Has anyone said to you, like, I'm having this problem, these are the challenges I'm facing, these are the issues I've got?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we are hearing from the market, from customers, as well as trusted partners. So we work with a lot of cybersecurity companies who deliver managed services, so managed service providers. And they sell security awareness training. They'll sell, the Goldfish solution,
Yeah.
and customers will buy the Goldfish solution. And one of the biggest challenges that we hear are, we don't have a training person. We don't have a security awareness person. We don't have anyone to actually roll this out. The
Mm.
content is great and the platform's very easy to use, but we don't have that person to be able to manage the campaigns, to be able to, create reports and present to the executive team. We don't have anyone to do that. And a lot of our partners, exactly the same, they don't have anybody dedicated to this. They've got guys
Mm.
who are very technical and they're cybersecurity technical bloody experts, but they're not training guys, and they don't have those soft skills. Like, I don't know how to run a communication program, and I don't
Mm.
know how to do phishing simulations, and so that is a big challenge because only the largest organizations have got in-house security awareness teams,
Yeah.
and it could be a tough
Even
one. It can
those.
be, and you and I and know that, like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. You can follow step-by-step procedures on how
Mm.
to build, a marketing team could run a security awareness program, piece of piss.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it's a dark art. They think it's Jedi skills to be able to do this. But it really isn't. It's about the communication piece. It's about avoiding fatigue. It's about structuring it so it's small bite sizes, continuous over time.
Yeah.
It's about making your fishing simulations a super cool, fun experience that people compete over and see as a positive while learning. It's all of these types of things, but so many businesses and organizations are like, we don't have anyone to actually do this.
Yeah.
And so I think the human resources bit is a challenge.
It's funny that one of the recent SANS Human Risk Survey, I think it was, that was released a couple of months ago, that highlights even organizations that have an awareness professional. One of the biggest challenges they face is lack of resource, because all of a sudden they've seen all this opportunity and they've seen how much the needle can be moved. And there's all these
Mm,
great things that they want to do, but they just don't have the time because they're doing phishing campaigns, or they're doing annual training, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. And it's across the board resource in this space.
yeah.
And it's like you say, it's a little bit of marketing. It's a little bit of this. It's a little bit of that. But the big thing is, and everything you said kind of touched on that, it's empathy, because you're looking at it from their perspective. It's not the technical perspective. So the guy,
Yeah.
your technical people, guy, girl, whatever, they see the technical solution, the technical problem, but it's how it's received by the end user, which is where the marketing and the user experience and stuff comes in,
Big time.
which often
Big
isn't
time.
considered.
And it's
Yeah.
it's quite tough sometimes. The guys on the security team, these guys are super smart. They got brains
Mm.
10 times the size of mine. But they struggle to be able to explain to somebody in normal human terms, you know, how some of these subjects or how some of these topics are and why they're important, and
Yeah.
really get it down to basic level without patronizing people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
It comes down to content. It comes down to the way it's delivered. And yeah, so it's a resource issue.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's so refreshing that, like, for me, you sit on the vendor side, but you see the challenge that many of us face. And I don't think everyone does on your side of the fence. And it feels like, you're not just like, there you go, it's all yours. Like, you get the challenges that then we face. So I love that. I think that's really, really important. Um, there are dozens, maybe we've just highlighted one, right? There's dozens of awareness companies, loads of companies out there selling phishing simulations, training. What is different about Goldfish? What's unique? How do you, if I've got you and three other vendors, what makes you different?
We keep it simple, and we don't try and be everything to everyone.
Mm.
We're not stuffing our platform full of bloated features and
claiming AI-driven bullshit.
I was going to get to that. You've just stolen that. It was next on my list. Yeah, now with AI.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
we have a big focus on content that people
yeah,
don't hate. This is where we started. This is really what got us into it. With all the bells and whistles and fancy features and fancy AI shit, it still comes down to great content that people can consume, that they can engage, that relates to them, that they find entertaining, that they
yeah.
are happy to talk about and share. And actually, so content's a massive part for us, super important. And then a dead simple platform. We tried, it's a massive focus on us. We get a lot of feature requests and we're like, that's not going to add value. That's not going to add value to everybody.
Yeah.
Or it's going to overcomplicate things. So
Yes.
we make sure it's easy to set up, easy to run, easy to manage. That is it. And is our solution for everyone? No. If you're a
I don't think
mega
I don't think there's a solution out
multinational.
there for everyone. Yeah.
No, and it's if you've got a 10-person security awareness team for a multinational bank, yeah, we're probably not for you, mate. You're going to need something a lot more advanced and something to keep all 10 of your team super busy. That's not us. So we've really tried to create something for the SME market or the SMB market that they can deploy very, very easily with really good quality content.
It's a market that definitely where I am in the world, it's a market that probably are having its eyes opened to this in some ways, not just from a cyber threat landscape, because these businesses are now being targeted with very easily put together campaigns that, I can think of a haulage company, Knights of Old, which was they had loads of trucks that you see them traveling up
Yeah,
and down the
yeah.
motorway. 2 years ago, got hit by ransomware, into administration, no longer exist, couldn't recover. That business was over 100 years old and is gone, which is a massive eye opener. And they're not a business that would typically, they wouldn't have a cybersecurity person or a cybersecurity team. But now they might see others in their verticals going, oh God, now we need to protect
Yeah.
ourselves. But also, compliance needs are changing. So over here, we've got like Cyber Essentials. There's NIST 2, which I think, has tick
Yeah.
boxes for security awareness and phishing. So actually, these companies now do have to find a solution to something where the first question they ask probably is, what is phishing? Because they probably don't know. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
for companies in the EU, that NIS2 regulation coming out, I think it's going to be a bit of a game changer and something that's, I think, really going to move the needle for the security awareness industry, because for the first time, it's a must-have. And it
yes,
specifically talks about employee training, both at an executive level and across the organization for this. And they regard security awareness training as a fundamental requirement
brilliant.
for cybersecurity. So I think that's going to be interesting when the EU countries really start launching that and enforcing that.
Yeah, and I think taking a leaf out of the health and safety book that you mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure under NIST 2 that it says that now the board are actually personally responsible for failings, which was one of the biggest drivers for change in health and safety.
Big
So
time.
it's interesting to see that cyber's taken that same
Yeah.
step, because how do you
Yeah.
make them wake up and smell the coffee otherwise?
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it affect their
And
pockets.
if
I saw that
exactly,
with Qantas. Qantas just announced that their exec aren't taking their bonuses this year because of the cyber attack they had a few months ago. So, and that's another lovely example of that.
so I mean that was something that I saw, years in the oil companies where health and safety was such a massive thing. It's such a dangerous
Mm.
industry, and so safety and occupational safety and that was huge. And not just the board, but the executive team and managers throughout the company, they had KPIs tied to safety metrics,
Yeah.
and their safety KPIs would, you know, directly influence the bonuses that they would get at the end of the year. And so it became a huge focus for them, and they were incentivized properly for it. And that's how you change culture. And
Yeah.
I think we might start seeing like the start of that with NIST too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. If you could leave awareness professionals with one message about phishing and human risk, what would it be? Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, I think the message we're just talking about, incentivize good behavior.
Yeah.
That's it. I think if we really want to change this and get people on board and get organizations all thinking about security together and taking it seriously and adopting it, we spend a ton of time talking about risk and compliance and what not to do. But, if you want to build security first culture, you need to reward people for doing the right thing. Simple. It's human nature. Reward me, I want to
Yeah.
do it again. And, we want people to pause before clicking on something, to follow policies, to report suspicious emails. We want all of that. We want them to give a shit about cybersecurity, basically, not because they're scared, but because they actually see value in it. And down the line, they'll see value that by adopting these secure practices and secure habits in the workplace, they're much safer at home. And their online presence and their family and their kids are all better educated because they took it seriously. But like we said, the carrot works better than the stick every time, always has, and it always will. So my message is incentivize good behavior, celebrate good security behavior. When an employee reports something, make a big fucking deal out of it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, thanks so much. Well done. Amazing. And the security team should make a point of that and do it properly. Gamify the experience. You can have departments competing against each other for big prizes on who gets the lowest click rate or who's doing all the training or who's contributing and reporting the most. Run competitions, hand out prizes, all of this. It makes all of a sudden cybersecurity is, not something for the geeks in the security department. It's now something for everyone to take part in, and it's fun, and you can compete and gamify it to get people, really taking part in the program and make it fun. It doesn't have to be a shitty compliance, boring thing to do.
And I guess Goldfish's content is fun and not shitty and boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I think one of the things, reward good behaviors, and I think clarifying what those good behaviors are. Like, I clicked on a phishing email, a real phishing email. Reporting it is the good behavior on the back of that. Like, and that's where, like, this person, they made a mistake. We all make mistakes. If you get one of your exec to put their hands up to a mistake they've made, but they've done the right actions in response to that, how powerful would that be? That would be so
100%,
good.
100%. And, you can call them, champions, heroes, creating a champions program where people put their hand up and go, cool, I want to promote security. I want to promote cybersecurity in my department, in my team. In the HSE space, they talk about safety moments where, and it can be a bit bloody tiresome in some of the corporates, but it's a regular thing. You're always talking about safety and some safety incident or some safety tip or, action. We should start doing the same with security as well, and just make it an everyday conversation about it. It doesn't need to be something that the IT geeks need to worry about. It's something we can all talk about. And I think if we personalize it, and a lot of corporate training loves to refer to their policies, and this is the policy, and you must do this, and this is acceptable behavior in our organization, and you need to do this to protect the company. Shut the fuck up, man. No one cares about your company. But if you can teach people good security behavior for their own stuff. This is how you protect your banking. This is how you protect your social media. This is how your
Perfect.
kids are at risk. This is how you can protect their accounts and use this and do passwords like this. Then you watch people switch on and start paying attention.
Yeah. We're so like-minded. I could have said that exactly the same. And yeah, like people don't necessarily care about the company. You might, as Mr. CEO or whatever, you might really, really be passionate about your company. But I guarantee you, most people, when it gets to the end of the day, they don't give it any other thought. But if you're giving them safe habits at home that they can then bring into the workplace, that's different. People care about their own world, which I think is really, and you've just summed that up perfect. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that's all we've got time for right now, Dan. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, this has been fun, mate. Thanks very much.
Cool. We can find you can find Dan. Where can they find you? LinkedIn, obviously.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Fuck. You can find me on there.
You won't find him on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram though, because he's not on any of them.
No.
We've established that.
Yeah, and then goldphish.com. Goldphish with a PH.
With a PH, obviously. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that feels like such a holy grail of a domain. I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Cool,
Brilliant.
mate.
Dan, thank you very much, and we'll speak again soon.
Fantastic. Cheers, Ant. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.